the heavy congestion of that road are pinned down to three things. Number one is that the bulk of the workforce of FCT lives down there. They flock into the city center in the morning and return back in the evening. We talks about failure of land use planning. It talks about efficient public transport gap, and then of course capacity of vehicles to actually convey the population. The third thing that led to what we are having is the fact that we have unnecessary access to an highway. The road is meant to be an highway, but there is unnecessary access from hawkers, from pedestrians, from cyclists, from wheelbarrow pushers, from everybody, from market people, from people selling stuff on their head, hawking things along the street. So all of this put together is the reason for the congestion. The traffic volume, based on a study we did in 2018, the average traffic volume on that road is about 83,000 vehicles per day. 83,000 vehicles, and that is 40, 45 going, 40, 45 coming every day, 1,000. Now when you combine that with the interferences to traffic, then you know why we have, and then you have 7% of that vehicle volume being high capacity vehicles, trucks, trailers. All of that put together is the complications we are having on that road. Now, you talked about pedestrian bridge. In recent years, pedestrian bridges are discouraged as part of requirement for efficient traffic in cities. And the reason is very simple. Once you build a pedestrian bridge, you've cut off a set of people who may not be able to use that bridge. I just completed a study last year, and the book is about to be published on this, where we analyzed the pedestrian bridge in area 3, and we discovered that 90% of women, the study was focused on women, said they will never use it, even if you build wall of Jericho, that they will cross it. The reason is simple. You want to use that pedestrian bridge, your trip is increased by nearly a kilometer, because you need to come 300 meters, cross 140 meters, and go back 300 meters. Put all of that together, your trip have increased. A lot of people don't like height. Then you have a steep staircase. Instead of a flattened staircase that people can go from a distance and flow across, is too steep. So those who don't like height, those who can't climb fast, people who are carrying load or carrying children on the back cannot climb them, and to that effect they will rather jump through the speeding traffic, which is one of the problems of that road. And then you go to places like MARARABA, where you see pedestrians, hawkers and beggars choke the entire pedestrian bridge. It's a discouraging factor for the usage of pedestrian bridges. And of course, if you make that place cover the pedestrian bridge, remove all those people from there, extend the staircase a distance to make it a bit flat and smooth for people to cross, a lot of people will use it. So all of these factors contribute to why people will rather dash through traffic than to use that pedestrian bridge. Of course, on a highway, it's either you use a subway or a flyover like they have done. But where you do a flyover, there are a lot of factors you must put into consideration to enable people use it. Since you can't do a level cross. If it's in a city, we insist that you do a level crossing where you just drop the speed of traffic and people can walk. Whenever vehicles see pedestrians, they simply just stop. But for an highway like that, yes, the pedestrian bridge can be there, but there are a number of factors you need to put into consideration to enable people use it, which is lacking. Now, after saying that, the security agencies there, like you were mentioning earlier, the security agencies stop traffic for pedestrians to cross where there is a bridge. It's just a complication that we need to address. First, make the pedestrian bridge usable, and then enforcing it will be easier. And like I was also telling somebody driving through that, I was telling somebody who was with me in the vehicle that the problem of that road is not just building barriers. You see that a number of times they build barriers at the middle and people pull it down. The solution to that place is not to build barrier at the center, is to build the barrier at the edges where people have no access to the road before you talk about crossing. And that we have advocated for that for a long time. But principally, addressing the huge traffic on that road is purely a problem of failure of public transport. Public transport. When they were commissioning the light rail from here to the airport, I asked a question: why did that light rail go to that place? If you put that light rail on this road, half of the vehicles coming from there will not have a need to come. The rail project from here to Kaduna, I was told it generates about 30 million per month. If you put that rail on this road, you generate double of that in a month. So the failure of attention to public transport on that road is the major reason. And then you ask a question: why should a motorcycle be using an highway? It's uncalled for. In the study we did there, averagely motorcycles are about 1,500 per day that uses that road going and coming. It's uncalled for. It's uncalled for. And that is because people must find solution to their mobility. If what is available can't meet my needs, I look for anything that's available. That's why once you pass Nyanya, you see keke napep everywhere. Everywhere is choked. Keke napep, motorcycle, wheelbarrow pushers, pedestrians, market people, everybody is choked because we have 1, poor regulation, 2, failure of public transport, number 3, capacity. Generally, the World Bank says we lose about 3 to 5% of our GDP to traffic congestion. 3 to 5%. Now, 3% of our GDP currently is around 72 trillion naira. 3% of it is 2.3 trillion. That is about $5 billion. It's bigger than the annual budget of Liberia, of Sierra Leone, of Uganda, of at least 13 African countries. That is the value we lose to traffic congestion in Nigeria alone. Now, what that meant is, if we can address congestion, we have plenty of resources. Now, also, in UK, for instance, man-hour lost in traffic is 17 pounds. 17 pounds is around 9,000 naira currently. So if you stay 2 hours, you lose 18,000. Multiply that by 80,000 vehicles. And when you consider the number of people in the vehicles, average of 3 persons per vehicle, if you put that together, you know the volume of resources we are losing in that traffic. Then you come to fuel. Averagely, 1 liter is around 11 kilometers, depending on the efficiency of the engine and the capacity of the engine. Now, if you put that together, a journey that should take you 20 minutes, you are spending 1 hour. Multiply that, then you know the volume of losses in terms of the fuel consumed. Then quantify that by the emissions that comes out of those vehicles which people sniff. I ask you a simple question: if a vehicle is burning, a wire is burning inside your vehicle, who perceives it first? Is you who is seated inside the vehicle. Which means every emission from the vehicle is well consumed by the person seated before the person standing outside. So with all of that, you know why our health indices is very poor. Our health indices is very poor. So if you look at the man-hour loss in traffic, the fuel consumption, that is leading to high emission, then you know what we're talking about. And there is a practical example of a woman interviewed that worked around this environment. She lives in Masaka. She has 2 children, 2 kids, and he couldn't put the children in the school in Masaka because when school closes, they won't find who to pick them from the school. So what does he do? She comes with them here to put them in a school nearby. Here there's a school behind here where she puts them in the school. So in the morning they eat breakfast in the car coming. Then she picks them from the school around 3. They stay with her till she will close around 5, and they reach on 7:30 or 8. They eat lunch, dinner inside the car on their way home. And then before they get home, the children are already dozing. They are fagged out because of stress. Now tell me how much that means to the economy, the well-being, the society itself. How much does that mean? Because the children's life have actually been stolen. No time to play, no time to be children, no time to grow in the neighborhood and find pleasure in playing. That time is stolen by traffic. And that is sufficient to see those children become miscreants, because the time for parents to actually take care of them is not there. The authorities, of course, the transport system in Abuja is essentially managed by the Transport Secretariat, while the infrastructure is handled by the Federal Capital Development Authority. The FCDA provides the infrastructure, Transport Secretariat provides the management of transport. There is gap, a very wide gap. I've emphasized that. We have used road construction as a basis for transport progress. Transport development across the world has moved beyond that. Just yesterday, I had a meeting at the Federal Ministry of Transport with the Minister of State for Transport. And I was emphasizing the fact that Abuja roads are patterned after the New York roads, where you have wide roads, speeding cars, and the road is designed just for the car. But they have realized that, and as we speak, they are investing heavily in closing some of those roads, fetching portion of them, turning them to bicycle lanes, creating parks, putting trees, put seats beside it, and then narrowing the space for the car. But in our case, we are still expanding and thinking that expansion will solve the problem. If expansion will solve the problem, Kubwa Road shouldn't be congested by 5 p.m. as it is today. Airport Road, go there this morning, right now, you meet traffic, people coming in. Why is this so? Because expansion will always invite more traffic. Once you expand the road, people will move there and say, oh, the road is free now. So they will move there. The number of vehicles will increase. And give it 6 years, you are back to square one. How many times have they expanded that road? So long as I know, from 1986 that I started relating in Abuja, they have expanded that road 3 times. Now there's a second expansion from here to Nyanya. Now you are creating additional problem. There is that mindset that says once you expand road, people will come. It's an engineering principle in transport. When the people come, then you have a large crowd of vehicles come, and when they get to Mopo Junction, everything narrows into one road. It will never work. So it doesn't. What should be done is move people away from the car, move them to public transport. But we don't have an efficient public transport, so we need to move people away from car-centric mobility to public transport. And in doing that, it is not just about buying high-capacity buses like we always do, and it never works. You must create an organized system like a BRT, or at the least of it, what is called quality bus service, like Accra in Ghana has, like Cape Town in South Africa has. If you can't have a full BRT like we have in Lagos, we have in Johannesburg, you can have quality bus service. It's an organized system. The bus has a timing. There's a terminal where they load, they are not carrying along the road. You know that 2 o'clock, that's when the bus will pass here. Exactly 2 o'clock, the bus will be there. Once you get that, people will keep their cars at home. They won't have a need. Many people, about 80% of these 80,000 vehicles are private cars. So if you pull half of them out of their vehicles, that road will be free. You won't have a need for the expansion of road that they are doing. And this is the emphasis we have been laying. Of course, there was effort around 2012-2013 to put a BRT along that road, but that project failed because of a lot of administrative issues within our system. Because Africa Development Bank was going to give us $50 million, we got another 50 million from Green Development, Green Fund or something, making $100 million. What we needed was $153 million. So we have gotten 100 million, and Nigeria was only to provide 53 or 54 million dollars, and processes went like this and like that until that project failed. You remember they put the plastic cone, which will never work, of course, because that is not the so we need to just pull people away from the car. That's the solution. So either we carry a light rail and put on that road, or we build a BRT. Until we do that, struggle continues, no matter how long you expand the road.